welcome to Telling the Tale. I'm your host, Mitchell Farley Wolfe, and I'm joined, as per usual, by the lovely and enchanting co-host of this very show, Dustin Cornelius Jackson.
Ow, I'm a brick house.
Wow. Hey, Dustin. Welcome to the show.
Hello, Mitchell. What brings you here?
Just a little thing called The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, Episode 2, Ties That Bind, Part 2, released on December 20th, 2016, directed by Rebecca Gamin-Arkovich, designed by Jean-Francois Guastaya, Andrew Baker, Molly Maloney, Michael McCormick, and Chris Schreier, perhaps. Written by Brad Kane, Nick Brecken, Michael Choung, Adam Esquenazi Douglas, Laura Huckneen, Dan Martin, Evan Skolnick, and Timothy Williams.
Wow.
That's the game we played.
There's a lot of twos in that. There's two twos in that title. I guess we're in our terrible twos, one might say.
Yeah, it's an interesting title because sometimes it's called the ties that bind, and other times the at the front is gone and it's just ties that bind.
I like that. It can just be whatever it wants.
Yeah, it's a flexible, like maternity clothing of a title.
Yeah, we can just take it easy. Play it a little loosey-goosey here.
Yeah, before we talk about the episode in general, Dustin, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm just doing so dandy. You know what? Me and my roommates had some Kit Kats earlier today that were like lemon salt Kit Kats.
Whoa.
And I think it might have been the best thing I've ever eaten in my entire life.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'll say it. I'll say it right here.
Yeah, you're saying that you're having a good time, even though I know for a fact that right before we started recording, I upset you by explaining the Monty Hall problem.
Well, you didn't do it. It's not you I'm upset with, Mitchell.
Yeah, you're just upset at, I guess, the math.
Yeah. I've decided never to do math ever again now.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Yeah, I think that's allowed.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's kind of like how 77 plus 33 does not equal 100. It feels like it should, but it equals 110 instead.
Oh, yeah, because there's the extra 10 on there.
Yeah, it feels like it just should all condense really nicely down to 100, but then you got to actually listen to the numbers and feel their burning heartbeat and try to understand what's going on in there.
Yeah, there's an extra 10 before you get to the teens.
Numbers are a lot like making love, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that's
you
what
gotta,
I was
You got
to
to pay attention to your partner. See where they're going.
Yeah, 1 plus 1.
Yeah. Carry the 1. Exponent.
This guy gets it.
PEMDAS. Okay, let's talk about The Walking Dead: A New Frontier, Episode 2, Ties That Bind, Part 2. Big question to start the episode, I think. Is there, now that we've played both of the first 2 episodes of this season, is there really a reason that this is considered a 2-parter episode versus anything else we've played?
I don't. So a friend of ours, Alter Mentality, who we had on the show before, she seems to believe that there is a reason.
Yeah.
I believe she was saying on the Discord we're in that it made sense. I'm still kind of at a loss. At least, like, maybe we're too familiar with Telltale at this point. We're like, what makes this any different from any other episode 2 that makes it so it has to connect exactly to 1?
Yeah, because to get a little ahead of the episode itself, I think the reason that it's a part 2 is that these 2 episodes, part 1 and 2, which, by the way, you can go back and listen to our episode on part 1, which was actually 2 episodes ago, because we covered the first episode of The Expanse in between them. And
so many 2s.
Yeah, we will be back next week with not episode 3 of this, but episode 2 of The Expanse. But I think the first 2 episodes of this season are a part 1 and part 2 because they are telling the story of Javi and his brother's relationship. That's like it's all trying to get us up to speed, in which the next 3 episodes are going to maybe, I mean, I don't know. I've been proven wrong about my conjectures in the past, but it feels like the next 3 episodes are going to be about the conflict between these 3 brothers. And these 2 episodes have been all about setting the stage for them to have that conflict. So right. it does feel like a bit of... I can see the next 3 episodes of this season having a very different vibe than the first 2 episodes of the season.
Okay, I could buy that.
Still, though, like there's been episode pairs like that in the past.
Yeah, it's not like it had to be a part 2.
Yeah, it didn't have to be a part 2.
But what are you gonna do about it now? You know?
Yeah, you're gonna yell at them on Twitter. They get enough yelling on Twitter. Don't yell at them on Twitter or X.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, man, that's been true for a couple weeks now, and it still is like a light fish slap to the face whenever you remember. Oh, it's X. It's called X now.
Yeah, usually when a whole social media platform is rebranded, it takes a while to like happen.
I would say it hasn't been done, actually.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's not like a flick of the switch and then, oh, it's different now.
Yeah, every time I think about it, it's like my whole bean's been flicked, and I need to
all right,
reset my whole thought process on it.
All right, mister. You're going to bring that in here?
It just really flicks my bean, you know? What do you think of this episode, though, altogether? Is it good?
I liked it. I had a good... So, the thing about this episode, it does feel... I just feel like we are so in the thick of The Walking Dead that just like anything they do is going to feel like I've been here. I already went into it on the last episode. Feels kind of been there, done that.
Yep.
But I still think it has some like surprisingly good moments that really hit. Like the scene that starts out the episode. Well, not like right at the beginning, but when you have to bury Mariana, I was like, oh fuck, this sucks. I feel like there's a couple moments in this episode, 2 deaths in this episode, that hit harder than like... Well, no, it's just 1 death, but 1 is the aftermath of Mariana's death. Those hit harder than like anything in season 2, I think. Well, any of the deaths anyway. But I already talked about that last time, but it really... It just hit me again this episode where I'm like, oh, I actually care about these characters and what's going on.
Yeah, I guess I don't want to take anything away from that because I think that's great. I'm really glad you're getting something out of that in the way that I think I'm not. Mm-hmm. I'm having a harder time not relating to the sadness of Mariana's death. It is very sad. I feel it. It's legit. But like when Clementine has to leave Lee behind, or in my version of the game, and yours I believe too, Clementine has to shoot Kenny, or when any of these other things happen in the past, like that sticks with me, and I keep thinking like, well, maybe if I play it again, they can be happy, knowing for a fact how Telltale makes their video games, and that would be impossible.
No one can ever be happy.
No one is allowed to be happy. This is The Walking Dead, not the Walking Splendid.
The Walking Smiles.
Yeah. There's a giant airplane outside my window. It must be huge.
Ooh.
It's packing a wallop of a sound quality out there.
Hide under the leaf. So it doesn't get you.
Okay, I think it's gone.
Oh, that was close.
Yeah. Sorry, what were we talking about? Walking Dead, probably.
Talking about.
Yeah. So Mariana, they really lay it on thick with Javi being pretty distraught about what happened. Understandably so, but he's shoveling piles of dirt onto her body in her grave, and every pile he's got like a new little quip to say of like, it's too soon. And like, to me, it's like, I kind of just met her, you know. I it is sad, but I don't think I'm there with you. Like, at the end of the day, every single one of these walkers that we see, these zombies, these ramblers, these shamblers, these freakers out there, they were people, and that's not lost on me. Like, that's still gross and off-putting and sad. So to have like hordes of those and assume like, oh, they mean nothing to you, right? But then like, if you see Mariana for like half of one episode, you're gonna feel a way about it. Like, I don't know if that's so different from me. There's things later in this episode about Clementine specifically that have nothing to do with death that I think actually impact me a little bit more.
Interesting.
They reveal at one point that Clementine joined the group, the New Order. The New Order is this group of bandits that
the New Frontier, you mean?
Sorry, the New Frontier. You're right. They could so easily be called the New Order, right?
Right.
It's the group of bandits from last episode that shot at them at the junkyard.
Mm-hmm.
But now we know they're a bit more organized and they span like multiple cities. And Clementine, over halfway through this episode, will reveal to you by showing her brand. All the members have a brand. She was part of them.
Right.
And that to me is like, oh, when I had her kill Kenny, she was a kid and that was like a terrible thing that she had to do that I'm now internalizing as part of her growth. And like, yeah, I understand that, but that's still showing the brand made me feel like if I was just in control of her for the last 3 years of her life as a video game character, as I am sometimes in control of Clementine's life as a video game character, I could have made her not do that and not have to have a brand and not have to hang out with a weird group of murderous psychopaths.
Right.
Yeah, it definitely made me want Clementine to have a better life, and it was just like an instant pang of, wow, we've really been I guess we've been away from Clementine for years. It didn't feel like years, but it's been a couple at least.
Yeah, I'm not sure how old she's supposed to be in this season. Like, she was 12 when we left her in season 2. And she definitely looks older.
I thought she's 12 here. I was kind of going off of we see AJ grow quite a bit between flashbacks.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I assumed there was like at least he becomes a much bigger baby than he starts. So that looked
That's
at
true.
least like a year old to me, but maybe not.
Right. I mean, she could be like 13 or 14.
She could. She keeps being compared to Gabe as like the same age as Gabe, but Gabe seems so much younger, and I think that's both a reflection of the fact that we don't know Gabe, but we do know like the internal monologues of Clementine, which I think anytime you just understand someone better, they seem older.
Right.
But also, it's probably a statement on the fact of Clementine has had to age real quick compared to anyone else out here. Even though Gabe is also living through a zombie apocalypse, it doesn't seem like he should be immune to that or different in any real way. I don't really know what made Clementine special in terms of how fast she ages compared to someone like Gabe.
I guess just like, I don't know, it seems like she just had to do a lot more shit. Like, it seems like
on her own too.
Yeah, on her own. Like, it just seems like she's just had a lot more to deal with. Like, they're all going through this zombie apocalypse, but just think about like all the things that Clementine's been through that's like really hardened her. Gabe, I don't think is like, he's part of it, but you know, he's with a good chunk of his family. It seems like they haven't had like a whole lot that's happened to them so far. Like, it seems like they've been pretty lucky, and he hasn't had to have that real fast maturity like she did.
Yeah, it does seem like they've done a pretty good job of just like, let's go from parking lot to parking lot, continuing to siphon gas and just drive forever. Because they can't catch us if we're driving. Which makes it kind of feel bad for everyone else who is like, what, you can't just do that? You can't just do that, Clementine? I know learning how to drive was hard for me when I was a teenager, but like, I could do it if there were zombies that were going to catch me.
Yeah, turns out it's actually really easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird to see Clementine and Gabe compared to each other, because it almost makes me feel like Javi keeps looking over at the two of them, and he's got this like knowing adult smirk to him of like, oh, maybe they're gonna fall in love. Mm-hmm. And I think Clementine would probably look at Gabe and be like, this is a child.
And what the fuck? This
you want me to date nothing. A child?
Ew.
Yeah, and regardless of the fact that she's a child, also, I don't think she would feel about herself that way.
Right. No, I agree. I do think they do a good job of selling their differences. Like, it suits their characters very well where they've ended up. And yeah. I guess that's gonna be part of Gabe's arc. We haven't really seen much of it yet, but you can tell he wants to grow up. He knows he's like earlier when he was oh shit, I think I'm getting my timeline a little mixed up. But what is it? He's like saying there's like something he couldn't. Oh, it's when Kate is being patched up.
Oh, Gabe says he wants to be like his dad.
Yeah.
He wants to be strong like his dad, even though we know that's a weird one because his dad is, I guess does project strength in a sense, but is actually kind of abusive and shitty.
Yeah, he's just kind of not good.
Yeah, but Gabe probably wouldn't have known that. He would have been so young at that time when the outbreak started. Was what, like 4 or 5 years ago at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, maybe just 4. But yeah, Gabe would have been so removed from remembering that his dad was actually incredibly shitty. And, well, I guess that's going to be the setup for later on, because we find out that David, Gabe, and Mariah Carey, what's her name?
Mariana.
Show
some respect, Mitchell.
Gabe and Mariana.
Mariana. You. There you go.
Gabe and Mariana, their dad, David, is still alive, and he's apparently the leader, maybe, of the New Frontier.
Yeah, I guess I'm looking forward to finding out how they got separated from him to begin with.
Yeah, because it seems like from everything else that we've seen before that we should understand him to be dead.
Yeah.
In a way that maybe even Kate or Javi saw it happen because they are so sure about it. But no.
No, he's just fine.
No, he seems very okay.
He doesn't even have like any limbs taken off.
Yeah. So are you ever put into the position of knowing how a Telltale game is going to go and knowing how you're going to answer it ahead of time? Because I feel that way right now about David.
I felt that way about like season 1 of Walking Dead. Like because I played it so much, I was like, I am locked.
You know how it's going to go just because you actually know how it's going to go. I don't actually know how it's going to go. You're
just saying you think you know where it's going to go, so you're pretty confident in what you're going to do.
Yeah. So with David, Kate is very hurt. When she's brought into Richmond where the New Frontier is. So they're bringing Kate there in order to get medical attention. And I think that for her, seeing David as in charge of the New Frontier is probably like the best outcome that could have happened, because she'll definitely get medical attention now. Now that they have Kate and Javi and their relationship to David, I'm sure that even though David is a shitbuster professionally, he's going to want his family to be safe. So that works out. That's good.
Yeah. Good for her.
Good for her. Good for her for stumbling into that situation. But as that progresses, I bet the game is going to ask of us, do we want to side with David more as David becomes more mean and crazed and paranoid about the relationship between Javi and Kate?
Yeah.
As the season progresses, I'm sure they're going to make me like, Clementine's gonna say something like, hey, I think David's gonna kill me. And then David's like, I'm only gonna kill her if I want to, so don't worry about it.
don't even trip about it. It's only if I want to.
And then I'm gonna have to choose between them, and I'm gonna pick Clementine over David. And I mean, that's how I feel like it might go.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not gonna pick David over anyone. He's very mean. He's rude.
He's given me no candy, so
yeah, not a single.
I am not on his side.
Not even a Nutter Butter.
Yeah, he doesn't need. Do you know how many come in a pack?
Yeah, you're not even giving me apples for Halloween. You're just giving me razor blades on their own.
You're throwing razor blades right at my face.
You're throwing razor blades at me for Halloween, which I don't think is appropriate anywhere.
Yeah, you couldn't even pretend to like it was a real treat.
You couldn't pay me to throw razor blades at me.
You just reminded me of a Sam and Max comic. It was a Halloween one, and there's somebody who's like putting drugs and razor blades in the candies and stuff. And so Sam and Max need to get to the bottom of it. But there's a panel where Sam says, look, there's a razor blade in this one. And it's like a big shaving razor.
It's good. It's good.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
We talked about a lot of the parts of this episode, huh? But without actually going over the structure of it.
You're so right. That's what we did.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what happens though, because at the beginning of this episode, you do bury Marcellus Wallace, and then you go back to the the compound, Prescott, I think it's called, right? This one's Prescott.
Yeah.
You go back to Prescott, and some people from the New Frontier show up, and they're like, "I'm gonna cut a woman's finger off." And then you say, don't. And,
okay, but don't.
And they say, I'm really feeling it. And they do.
Yeah, she does. She gets a whole finger removed.
So she dies for me. Does she die for you? Does that always happen?
Yeah, she did die. I have a feeling she just always dies.
Okay, yeah. So I do the more aggressive call option here. And I start shooting at these people, like in the middle of a conversation.
Right. It seemed like more people did that in the choice percentages. Which are real.
50, which are definitely real. 58.6% open fire, according to my choices.
Okay.
But again, they're not real. So that could be anything.
Well, who's to say?
Me, they're not real. We've proven it. It's very demonstrably false.
Well, tomato.
No, only tomato.
Oh.
So before that, there's a flashback to like pre-apocalypse where Javi and Kate are talking in the kitchen. And Javi says, I want to go on like a vacation somewhere. I want to see some places. And Kate said, what if I dropped anything and went with you? And they're just sort of joking about it.
Haha, wouldn't that be funny?
And then Kate's washing the dishes. She breaks a cup that David really likes. David comes in and says, Kate, did you destroy the cup I love so much?
My army cup?
My army cup that Army gave me for doing a good job?
I can't just get another one, Kate.
I can't do a good job again. And
once was my limit.
And I have I don't want to do a what would the opposite of a golden moment be?
Ungolden moment.
A brown moment.
A brown dud.
Yeah. What's a dumb metal?
Call it the stink pit.
What's a bad metal? What's a metal we don't like? That's a hard one, huh?
Rusty.
Rust is kind of a metal. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. The rust hour is the
The
opposition
rust
to the
hour.
golden moment. I think maybe focusing on the negatives like that could be poisonous for a podcast, but I do think that I should mention this is definitely my rust hour when the options given to me in talking to David after David is like yelling at Kate really loudly and aggressively in a way that is uncomfortable about how Kate broke the thing. Javi has options of saying either nothing, something to the vibe of it was an accident, something to the vibe of you're both in the wrong.
You both suck.
Or option number 4, let him have it.
Let him have it.
And I read let him have it and thought like, okay,
You
yeah.
can have it.
Clearly it was an accident that Kate did that, so I'm going to let David have it. And when what I think that means is say, David,
You're going to let him have this one.
You're clearly out of line for yelling at Kate here. That's what I think that would be like. Hey, shut up! You're scaring her. You're
hey,
being
shut
rude.
up, man.
That's what I would think. Let him have it would mean what Javi decides to say. If you say that, did you pick that option?
I don't think I did.
What Javi says if you picked that option is, "Shut up, David. She wants to leave you, right?" And I paused the game and just sat there on my couch thinking,
your jaw dropped.
Telltale, that's clearly not what I picked.
That's not what I
so
meant.
completely not what I chose. Why did you say that?
Javi, that's not what we agreed on, bro.
Yeah. That's like giving an option that says, I'm kind of hungry for peanut butter, and you press it and says, dude, I could fuck for some peanut butter right now.
That's like saying, I would kill you for any reason.
That's like pressing that button, and then your character walks over to someone you didn't see off screen, actually killing them and taking their peanut butter. It's so extreme for... Because we've talked about the mismatch between the tones of the options that you're given and then what the character actually says before. Like, this is a common complaint that we've had with Telltale games. This is the most extreme I've ever seen it happen. I can't imagine it being taken further.
I just love that visual of him walking off screen, shooting someone, taking their peanut butter, then walks back like nothing happened, and the scene just continues.
Yeah, the character just looks at the camera and says, "You said I was hungry."
I guess this was your fault.
Yeah, you should have considered that when I was a psychopath, that I would do this.
Oh my god, you're so right. Why didn't you take into account what my crazy actions were gonna be?
It's so out of pocket because Kate then says to David correctly, "Hey, no, I did not say that. I did not say that. Javi, I'm married. That's till death." And Javi has to just stand there with like a shocked look on his face.
Javi's just like, what happened there? I thought I was the right one.
It was absolutely and for real the most mad I've ever been immediately after selecting a dialogue option. It is so completely not what I thought Javi was going to say based on what I said. But it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I can understand your frustration. See, I just told him it was an accident.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Yeah, I just picked that one, so he just said it.
Yeah. How did Kate react to that? Regular, I bet.
Yeah, she was just like fine with it.
Yeah, not what happened.
Mitchell lives in the wild timeline.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I think that might have been the most I've laughed on this whole podcast.
Yeah, so she gets mad and then she says like, "Hey, we're married," points to her ring. "That's forever until death do us part." And then like only a couple minutes later in the episode, I guess years later in fiction, they do something in which Javi and Kate are given the option to kiss, and I do it as the player. I do it because I'm almost asking the game, "Hey, make sense of this."
What do you got to say about this one?
Yeah, I guess now they are together. Game. I've never played a Telltale game up to this point. I've never really played it antagonistically. But there's a couple choices in this episode where I'm like, okay, let's see you handle this. Just trying to
you're fighting
the
back.
Corners. I am fighting back a little because it picked a fight with me.
Yeah,
that's a declaration of war.
You brought the knife to the gunfight. Game.
Anyway, the New Frontier like busts in the door to Prescott by driving through it with a giant truck. This attracts
full of walkers,
full of walkers, and attracts other walkers from nearby. They all swarm the area. Everyone's lost in this skirmish. Every single goddamn person.
Yeah, to be fair, even the guy was like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing here? You're taking this plan really off the rails."
Yeah, I think his name is Badger, the guy that keeps taking it too far.
Oh, Badger's the guy who's taking it too far. What's the name of the other guy? The guy who's like, "Hey, no."
Actually, that might be Badger. No, I don't remember the name of the other one.
There's definitely a Badger in there.
Badger's involved for sure. Yeah. So then, Trip and Eleanor, because they are characters we were introduced to, and the bartender, all get out with you. And you're in a car. You're trying to make your way to Richmond. You've heard Richmond is nice.
Yeah.
You get stuck in a blockade. You try to get around the blockade, and there's this guy who's like spying on you from behind a billboard. And you go find him, and it's Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus is in this.
I bet you didn't know.
Yeah, he's just this weird guy who talks about how he's known some guys in the New Frontier and needs some help getting to their place because they want. I don't think they really get into why he wants to go there, but it's like for a friend, I think.
Right.
And you have the option to trust this guy or not. I felt like he was trustworthy.
Yeah, he seemed nice and cool.
Yeah, and then you ask him, "So what do we call you?" And he says, I quote, "It's Paul. But my friends call me Jesus." And
yeah, I wish you had the option to be like, "Why do they call you that?"
Paul. One of my favorite parts of the episode is that after this point, Javi will address him by name and call him Jesus. He's like, "Yeah, I'm down to do that immediately.
Yeah, we're friends.
I don't need to warm up to that from Paul. I'll do that right now."
Yeah, so this guy's from the show. I never saw.
Oh, this guy's from the show?
I believe so. That's what I remembered hearing, is Jesus is a character from the show that is now in the game.
Okay. Paul Jesus Walking Dead. I just asked Google. Okay.
Yep, I looked it up. There he is.
There he is. He looks quite a bit younger and more attractive in the show.
Yeah.
They kind of lean into the vagrant side of his characterization in his depiction in the game, which probably is more realistic for what a guy calling himself Jesus in the post-apocalypse would
personally
look like.
Yeah, personally, I like it more. It's not like in Game of Thrones where you can tell, oh yeah, that is a TV show character because their hair
I
is
had no
very
idea.
nice.
This is apparently a very late TV show character. He's in like season 6, 7, and 8 of the show.
Would that line up with when this third season came out?
Oh, I have no idea. You can't ask me questions like that.
You're right.
That's illegal.
I don't know what I was thinking.
Okay, when did season 6 come out? 2015.
And New Frontier was
2017.
Yeah, it's saying he premiered in the show and the game in the same year. In 2016.
Oh, 2016. Yes. That makes sense.
Okay, so that's some brand synergy.
Yeah, I get. This would be the end of the year, and then the show was the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So I guess that means we know he's going to continue living, then, because he has more seasons of the show ahead of him.
That's true.
Okay.
No surprises.
So we've got some plot armor on Paul Jesus, right there. Yeah, but I do like how Javi's like immediately down to say like, oh, Paul, not a chance. If someone calls themselves Jesus, I want to have fun with that, which I think would be my reaction too.
Yeah, if you want me to call you Jesus, you got it.
So this is pretty much the end. Jesus directs the group to go to Richmond through the train tunnels, which apparently is about as fast as driving around the mountain, just walking through the tunnels, which I think is crazy. I don't understand how the geography of that could work at all, but it is how it works. And while in the train, Clementine tells Javi that she was part of the New Frontier, and Conrad, the bartender from earlier, hears about this. He does not take this well.
Yeah, it's one of those things where as soon as he said it, so as soon as he's like, yeah, I heard you, I'm not an idiot, I was like, yeah, obviously they were talking about it in a cave not too far behind these guys.
A tunnel. The specific thing that echoes the most. Yeah.
Clementine, you and Javi were stupid, and now you have to pay the price. It's okay. You just have to... You can't pretend like you were being smart about it.
Yeah, I guess this is an interesting thing to set up for Clementine, where she's clearly very capable. She's learned from the best, from Luke, from Lee, from Kenny, from Jane. She's got all these role models who have left her, but she knows a lot of like how to survive this. She's a very strong, independent force in this world, but she's still irreconcilably young. She cannot deal with the fact that she's young, and she's making big mistakes in both of these episodes. She's shooting the guy at the bar straight in the face.
Yeah, no one cares.
No, I mean, people care a bit. She's in jail at least, but they're also like, yeah, she's like 13 years old though.
She's 13. He sucked.
He did what he did was bad. He did was bad over there. So
yeah.
And in this one, she's like blabbermouthing because she just like can't hide the truth for a second.
Yeah, this is probably like the worst possible time to tell me. But I guess it makes sense because that's when she was planning on leaving. She was like, I gotta go like right away. And
it makes sense. It's interesting because she's not the protagonist of this season. She's taking a break from the spotlight, sort of. She's still here, which is, I guess, why we're covering this story. But Javi is the protagonist, and Javi really doesn't make mistakes. He's kind of the first Walking Dead protagonist we've had who's like, hey, he's a professional athlete before the post-apocalypse.
Yeah, he's an athlete. He's been living through this for multiple years now.
Yeah, he understands the importance of survival. He understands the importance of family, where like in the past people had to kind of like warm up to the idea of being, oh, maybe I am in a family. Javi immediately is like, I am in a family, which is
no, I actually am.
I actually yams. And yeah, like so Javi's in this position, the player is then in this position of like, you're doing all the right stuff, because 3 seasons into this Telltale format, the player probably is doing all the right stuff, but you're still saddled with Clementine, who, like, try as she might, can't do the right stuff.
Right.
Which I think is an interesting dynamic. I'm not sure how much I like that as a player. I think as a player, I would much rather just have the calls I make be the important calls. But it is, at the very least, interesting to see the quest for Clementine to become more independent and capable come to fruition while I'm watching her do it rather than being her.
Right.
It's very weird. Anyway, Conrad hates you for this and puts Clementine at gunpoint. What did you do?
Oh, no, he takes Gabe at
Sorry,
gunpoint.
you're right. He initially puts Clementine at gunpoint, but then he grabs Gabe and says, like, okay, if you don't behave, I'm gonna shoot this kid. Which does not seem like a rational response. To be fair, he's not been rational, because the woman that was killed earlier at Prescott was, I guess, his love interest.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were married before.
They were clearly extremely close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I get it, but don't be putting the 2 people I'm with at gunpoint, please.
Yeah, Conrad, to Conrad's credit, does give Javi a lot of chances. And Clementine, even. Like, he's mad about when the guy's head is blown open in his bar. Understandably so. He's mad about when his significant other, whatever form that takes, dies. Understandably so. And he keeps being like, I'm having the worst day of my life, but I understand that we need to get through this together. I respect that a lot, Conrad. But then if you put Gabe at gunpoint for something that he's not even related to, because you're mad that Clementine has the brand, like, I can't do much for you. I can't repay that.
Yeah. So I shot him.
I did also shoot him.
I was like, look, we could have talked it out, but then you took Gabe at gunpoint, and it's just not working out for me.
Yeah. And then immediately after, Gabe is freaking out, and then Javi says, it had to be done.
Yeah, sorry, there was just no other way around this.
And Gabe goes, oh, no, I know. Yeah. Again, these choices are fake and don't matter. But it is a very high percentage here. 89.4% killed Conrad.
That's a lot.
For a murder-related choice, that is extremely high.
Yeah. That's
if
a
it's
little
true,
surprising.
It's significant.
Interesting if true.
Yeah, big if true. Yeah, and after that, you just sort of get there.
Yeah. See, that's what I was saying at the beginning of the episode. I didn't really finish my thoughts on it, but it feels like we're hitting that. It's like episode 2 of Tales from the Borderlands, where you're like, okay, the story's established. Now we are on our journey. This episode is The Journey Begins. Mm-hmm. And, like, it's fine. Like, I liked this episode. I went through it and had a good time. But we're just so far into this podcast and so far into The Walking Dead that I'm just like, I know what this is. I know where we're at. I know what's going to happen. We've done this song and dance before. And
that's a bummer because, like, I do believe in this team. One thing that I have been taught to believe in with these Telltale games is that I believe in the team's ability to do a surprising amount of new things within this format. And we see like when they go over to Tales from the Borderlands, that's the same format, but like, whoa, that is surprisingly different what they've decided to do with this, like with the themes of the story. Or I know you didn't love it or have a particularly fun time with it, but Game of Thrones is a very different kind of story as well. But then like with Walking Dead, with this, I think they try to do a very different feeling thing by introducing new characters like Javi and Javi's family. But it does feel very similar.
Yeah, you're just hitting like a lot of the same plot beats. You're going from like one like camp to another. You have guys that are coming after you. Some people die along the way. Mm-hmm. You got to make choices. And it's not like any of it's done bad. I'm with this story. I like these characters. We talked about it last time. I like Javi. I like his family.
I like Clementine. I like Javi. Gabe needs to take it easy. But but Kate and Javi are both cool. Yeah, like I do want to see these characters succeed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm having a good time. I'm enjoying the story enough, but it's just all so I know where this is going. I know I've just done it all before, and it really sucks to say because it just feels like a problem that's unavoidable for what I just don't see them getting out of that going forward with this season. And it's such a weird feeling to say it because by that logic, I probably shouldn't be enjoying it, but I am still. I just wish I was feeling that feeling of like, what's going to happen? Because we know what's going to happen. You summed up what you believe is going to happen at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're going to have some like good times with David in the next episode to remind me we are brothers. And then in episode 4, we're going to have some bad time with David. And I'm going to be like, but we're brothers.
We're brothers, though.
And
does that mean nothing
5,
to you?
I'm going to bury David and think we were brothers.
We were brothers before this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I take a gardening hoe and rake over his grave, I say bros before hoes.
You have to make sure you have a little something.
I need to make sure there's a gardening hoe nearby before I start the process. Otherwise, it'll seem very forced.
It'll be very weird. It'll be like, why did Javi say that?
Why did he? Kate's gonna be like, is that me? Like, what? That's
Am I the hoe in this situation?
Just seems so rude. Yeah, out of nowhere.
Thing. Yeah, I mean, he was my husband, so.
Yeah, I'm also very sad, dude. Jeez.
Oh man, what a way to just get everyone off of Javi's side.
Yeah. So, did you go in for the kissy? Did we talk about that?
I don't think we did. What was it?
Javi and Kate can kiss if they...
In this episode?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't get that in this episode.
Okay. Did it happen last episode as well?
It's been 2 weeks.
Okay. Well, I know it happened at some point, and...
Yeah, I don't think that happened in episode 2, or at least I didn't get it.
Yeah, and like, Gabe sees this, and Gabe goes, ugh! And,
gross!
And then Kate goes, relax, it's fine.
Don't worry about it.
But then, yeah, later on, we see that David's back, so we clearly know, like, oh, everyone who we're with right now saw us kiss, if you chose to go in for the kiss. So, I hope they don't tell David. that does seem like a potential source of conflict.
Yeah, next episode we're going to find out who the blabbermouths are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess that's it, right? There's nothing really else to talk about. I did enjoy this episode. It's just more than ever I'm feeling I don't even want to say fatigue, but I'm just like, I know I've already said it. I've complained about it enough.
Yeah, I do. Oh, by the way, the achievement bug, which either is related to achievements or like getting into the credits of an episode, seems to be back for me. It wasn't there last episode, but the game has started to crash again.
That's interesting. It was the opposite for me. I got it last time, did not get it this time.
Interesting.
You know what I did differently this time that I also did when we were playing through season 1 that I think stopped it was I did not play the whole episode in one sitting. Well, I did, but so what I did was about halfway in, I paused, because I remembered this stopped it from happening in season 1. I stopped after it saved, exited out of the game, then booted it back up, and then it didn't crash for me.
You like manually closed the game?
Yeah, so
Okay.
I exited the game from the episode menu, and then, closed it entirely, and then booted it back up, and then it didn't crash. And I remembered that helping in season 1 as well.
Okay.
That just
maybe
seems...
I should try that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very weird workaround that I just kind of stumbled onto, but it's worked. It's worked this time, and it worked before, so...
Okay. I guess with that in mind, should we go into our segments?
Segments.
Dustin, which one's your favorite?
Which one's my favorite what?
Segment.
All of...
What?
What's my...
Your favorite segment is all of them? Get out of here.
No, shut up. Shut your mouth and let me explain.
Yeah.
So all of our segments are about our favorite things in the episode. So when you said, Dustin, what's your favorite? I was like, what are you talking? All of the segments are my favorite things in the episode. Don't jerk me around here, man.
That's such a weird way. That's such a strange thing to assume I meant, but okay.
That's such a strange thing to ask me.
No,
to understand.
Which segment is your favorite?
You said let's get into our segments, and then just said, Dustin, which one's your favorite?
Yeah, okay. Think about it this way. Let's get into our segments. Which one's your favorite? Of the segments.
So normally you just ask, which one's your weekly guy? So I thought when you said, which one's your favorite, I thought you were just saying in a shithead way, like, which one's your favorite guy? Or which one's your favorite moment? Or which one's your favorite choice?
I can't just be flicking your bean all day about this, Dustin.
I
You need
know,
to pick one. You need to pick a segment.
really...
Which one's your favorite segment?
I disagree. You have to pick now.
My favorite segment is probably Golden Moment, because we have to dive deeper into what we think critically about the narrativity about the episode. That's my favorite of the 3 segments we do.
Okay, let's start with that one then. What was your golden moment, Mitchell?
I wrote down Gabe saying he wants to be like his dad, because I felt like that was a very powerful moment for Gabe, and a very trying moment for Javi, because I'm sure in that moment Javi and the player alike both don't
his dad
want Gabe
not
to
good.
be like his dad. I guess that is a possibility, but we know that would be a bad thing. But it's presented in a very real way. You can relate to other times in your life, maybe when someone has said something like, "I hope I can do this," and then you realize, oh, you should not be trying that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So that's my golden moment. That's my favorite.
That's a good one. That's your favorite, huh? Mine was burying Mariana.
Gotcha.
It just hit me real hard. Like, this is up. I already talked about it on the last episode, but this is one of the deaths that does hit me. Mm-hmm. And it's just so sudden, and it's for such a sweet character who I do get where you're coming from. We have only known her for part of an episode. But
I honestly think this is more of my problem of empathy than it is the game's problem of conveying the problem. Right,
because I got that Mariana meant a lot to Javi. It meant a lot to everyone in this group. And
sure.
To just have her ripped away from these people so suddenly. And part of what I think really sells it is you have the time to let it sink in. You're allowed to have these characters mourn and feel bad about it in a way that I thought was very rare in season 2.
Well, interesting though to think about it in terms of time, because these 2 episodes came out on the same day. Yeah. So, that's another interesting perspective to look at the David situation.
Mm-hmm.
They came out on the same day. So if you played them in one day, which I think you could very easily do, it's only like a combined, 3 hours?
Yeah, neither episode are very long.
Yeah, altogether it's 3 hours. You absolutely would have at the time powered through these in one day.
Do you think that's just why they called it parts 1 and 2? We're releasing them on the same day because they're both pretty short. Like, if they were a little meatier each episode, do you think they would just release them the way they normally did?
I mean, I assume it's the other way around, where they released them on the same day because they were parts 1 and 2.
Okay.
That would be my assumption, but yeah, it could be the other way.
Yeah, I part of me thinks, like, these episodes are both very short. Let's just release them at the same time so people don't feel cheated, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can just call them, like, parts 1 and 2 instead of just calling them episodes 1 and 2 like normal. I mean, I don't know. There's no way for me to know why they did it. But it's interesting.
I mean, we have some people we could ask.
That's true.
I wouldn't say there's no way to know.
Yeah. But yeah, burying Mariana just it really hit me, like seeing like
Mariana's
having
trench.
Javi. Yeah.
Ooh. Is that something?
Good one. That could be. You dug her grave.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm really not giving enough respect. I should calm down.
Yeah, it hit me how like he has to look over and just see her like disappear under the dirt.
Mm-hmm.
Like that really hit me. But then you made it a little funny when you were talking about it, and just how he has a little thing to say after each time you do it.
Yeah, he should be quiet for some of those, I think.
Yeah, it reminds me of when Lee was burying the kid at the house, how he's just silent the whole time.
Yeah, that was powerful.
Yeah, here Javi's like, so long, goodbye again.
Thanks for all the memories.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I get it because it's also meant to be, like, it's supposed to be like a funeral for her, I guess.
Yeah.
So, like, it makes sense that he would have a lot to say about her. You just presented it in a silly, funny way. That made me laugh.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like he's giving the funeral dirge equivalent of Live, Laugh, Love posters in a single mom's kitchen. Like,
right.
Just, like, every spoonful of dirt that goes on, he's just saying something like, don't frown because it's over. Smile because it happened. And then
2 in the hand is worth 1 in the bush. And Clementine's just kind of looking at her watch to the side.
Yeah, she found a watch.
She's like, okay, great.
Yeah. Weekly guy. Who's your weekly guy?
Just Jesus.
Yeah, I also have Jesus / Paul.
We didn't have that much time with him, but he just struck me as a guy I like and want to be around after like just such tense moments with what's his name that I killed, Conrad. Yeah, like that whole situation sucked, and like you know, you're just kind of walking on eggshells with this whole situation because, like, Kate and what's Eleanor?
Yep.
Kate and Eleanor are driving, and they're probably fucked. They're probably in a bad situation. So I like that you can meet a guy who's just kind of chill and nice and cool.
Yeah, he does seem like those things. I think hearing that he was a show character maybe makes me like him a little bit less, because in my understanding of him up until you told me that, he was a guy that just showed up, said his name was Jesus, and in the middle of like that tunnel scene does a wall run into a spin kick and knocks a zombie's head clean off its neck.
That's true.
Yeah, he's just like a guy that shows up and starts very much doing things in a way that I thought was very funny and an inspired, like, telltale character to come up with. But hearing that he's from something else, and like maybe the wall run into a spin kick was his signature move on the show or something, makes me feel a little bit less special about that. But it's still very cool. I think I still have to give it to him.
Yeah, I still think he's a guy I want to have around.
Yeah, especially called with Javi calling him Jesus like right away. That's so funny. That's so good. I have to give it to Jesus.
Yeah, definitely. But what's your choice cut?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Mine's probably killing Conrad.
Mine was too, but to be fair, I didn't feel super strongly about like any of the choices. Like they were just kind of choices this time.
Yeah, I think there's a couple moments in this episode like I opened fire at the New Frontier early. I killed Conrad instead of hearing him out, and I don't think that's because of the thing I was talking about earlier, where I was playing the game in some ways a little bit in spite of it. That was in a different. That's a different category of choices,
right?
But with those things, it wasn't until after I like rolled credits on the episode when I realized, wow, I'm kind of out of my comfort zone here. I'm being way more aggressive and aggro than I typically am in these games. I wonder why that is. And I guess I don't really know, other than like Javi has more reason to put it all on the line than anyone ever has before. So I'm playing him differently. So I guess that's a strength of the episode, and I think that's kind of centered on the fact that I went ahead and I killed Conrad.
Yeah, I did as well. You know what? I started playing him a little more aggressive, but then backed down.
But not like, really, because you killed Conrad at the end.
That's true, but I guess more when Francine is being held hostage, because before I saw Francine was held hostage, I had Javi be like, "Fuck you! You killed my niece, you actual idiot."
Yeah, I think that came up for me too.
But then, as soon as they brought out Francine and started slicing off her fingers, I was like, "Whoa, okay, cool it." I was just pretending.
Yeah, to me, slicing off a finger of a friend did not make me want to calm down.
Quite the contrary.
Yeah, it actually had a hair-raising effect instead.
Right, but it just had me want to be more like, okay, we don't need to be cutting off any more fingers or killing anyone, because so I looked into it on the wiki after this. He can just straight up kill her like right there.
Oh, okay.
And just like shoot her in the head if you're like bad.
Huh. Yeah, it's weird.
I mean, it seems like she dies anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but I didn't not want to be the one responsible for her having a gun shot in her head.
Yeah, it's a good instinct, I think, in real life to carry that over into, so.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. Well, that's this episode, I think.
Yeah, it's kind of a complicated one to figure out how I feel about it, because I feel like the bad stuff I felt in the last episode, just the been there, done that, just feels even stronger here. Like,
yeah,
you just knew where it was going to go the whole way. But I still like these characters. I do want to see where this story... I want to make sure that these characters get out okay. I don't want any more people to die. I don't want Kate to die. It sounds like it's leading up to her dying. But,
it does feel that way, yeah.
I kind of get the feeling, and I could be 100%
Wait,
wrong.
don't you know?
This.
Haven't you played the end of this?
I don't remember anything about this season.
Okay.
I don't remember... Like, as I play through, I'm kind of remembering, like, just the episodes as I play. I'm like, oh, I kind of remember that, but completely blank on what happens going forward.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see it being like if they're saying she's gonna die this early on in the season, I could see it being like, oh, I guess she pulled through.
Yeah. I mean, I could see it go... I could see Kate go either way. Because I do think they're trying to square Javi with David. And Kate could be an important part of that conflict, or she could be removed to focus the story more on the conflict. So that could go either direction. I could see that happening.
I just don't think it's quite like everyone is saying, like, oh no, she's gone already, bro. It's basically only a matter of time.
Yeah, it does seem like she would have already gone if that was the thing. Or... 'cause while they were telling me to, like, I should be kneeling right now, at the very end of the episode, the New Frontier tells everyone to kneel down. And I'm like, I'm holding a person. Can you give me an exception for the kneeling thing? Or have a person take this person? And I did decide to kneel down. I felt like in me, like, lying Kate down, she was going to zombie up right then and there and bite my hand. Or something like that. Because of, like, how prone I was and how close to death she was. But now that David's, like, right here and she's probably going to get a lot more real medical care. I could see her not dying anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole core of the deal really feels like we're exploring how Clementine is changing via this external source. So, like, even though we are Javi as a protagonist player character, I mean, I still don't think it's about him. So every moment we're spending with Javi, I guess I shouldn't feel this way. I guess I should feel like it's possible that we're going to feel more like Javi's the main character, but I don't. So, like, I still feel like Clementine is the main character. So while we're dealing with Javi's weird family squabbles, I guess the cynical part of my game playing mind is we're kind of wasting this Clementine time by focusing on Javi right now. That feels a little tough.
And I think that's why this season isn't seen as favorably as the others by some people, is you do feel like, well, why am I not just with Clementine this whole time?
Yeah.
Why am I with these randos? And I think my opinion is, I think it can just be both. I think both can be main characters. You can have Javi's story, and you can have Clementine's story, and I think that's fine.
I think they can be. I don't see that as currently what's happening. But
I get that. I guess it also comes down to how invested you are in these characters too. And, like, I do really like Javi and his family and what they have going on. So for me personally, I'm taking it as, okay, this story is about Javi and his family, but Clementine is there, and what happens to her is what's going to be what carries over.
I mean, yeah, I think that is literally what it is, but I also think that the thematic importance of what's happening, it's not just the fact that the Clementine stuff is what's going to carry over. It's that, like, the Clementine stuff is the framing of what's important here.
Right.
Even within just this season, seeing her change and seeing her go through this stuff by virtue of what she does when put into a situation like this new family dynamic, in which, like, hey, young girl was just killed, so, like, there's an opening. She could assimilate in and like have more of a life, and at this point she might be so far gone in terms of the ability to just live a regular life like that this is what we're watching. We're watching her being given an opportunity, and I mean, I'm pretty sure that by the end of the season she's going to not permanently join up with Javi's family, and we'll see how that goes then. But yeah, that's kind of how I see the larger narrative movement here going. There's a lot of airplanes outside my apartment today.
They're trying to hear. They're trying to hear us record.
Yeah, do you think they like the show?
Yeah, they're coming down to hear, like, every, like, 5-minute word you say.
Yeah, I feel like every time I start talking about them, they leave, making me sound dumb. But maybe that's because they can tell that we're talking about them and they're getting a little...
No, I swear, guys, it was an airplane.
It was a different airplane. It wasn't me.
Sure, Mitchell. There's always an airplane.
So, next week, we're going to be talking about The Expanse Episode 2, which I think should be out to people who pre-ordered on the day that this episode of the podcast comes out. It isn't out for us right now, but maybe, I think it should be by then. So we'll see you then. Dustin, got any Expanse thoughts you want to throw in?
It's a video game we're playing.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Have a great summer,
Have a great
everybody.
summer.